I was going to serve a mission from the day my dad picked me up out of the cradle and told me I was going to serve a mission. It was just always something I was really excited to do, and I remember around age 14 or something, just thinking like, coolest birthday present ever would be able to be going on the mission early. Like I remember thinking that, and that was cool. Like all teens and people, you run into problems that you got to sort out, and mission was always the largest incentive for that. I was always set on going on the mission, and so for me it wasn't really any one experience or anything. It was just my entire life. So yeah, when I got the call, I waited about half a day because we got it, well, it was a day. We got it halfway through one day, and I wanted to notify the ward so everybody could be there, so we could open it up. So that was weird, I'd waited so long to get it, and I'm like, we can wait a little bit. My brother ended up waiting a week for me to get home from my mission, which was a terrible decision on his part. I would have opened it. But anyway, so everybody was there, we ripped it open, and I was pretty much, I had it figured out that I was probably going to go somewhere in the States, and I guess that was kind of my way of saying like, you got to be humble, and you take what you get, and don't be disappointed that you don't get to go somewhere fancy like your friends, And so when we opened it up, I wasn't looking at it. You were doing the whole don't look thing, and my dad goes, application for U.S. passport, and everybody freaks out. I'm like, stop it, you're spoiling it. But that was an interesting moment where I was like, okay, what do you need a passport for? To go outside the States and come back. Okay, interesting. So that was fun. I was excited. There's actually a video. We filmed it, and there were just so many people looking at me, and so I felt a little awkward, but I was also super excited. So I was like, I remember watching the video a few times, and I did like this clap and rub my hands kind of thing, like, all right, where do I get going? And then I was so upset because I had to wait 6 months. I was like, you will report 6 months from now, and that was the longest 6 months of my life. My bishop was an anesthesiologist, and I said, hey bishop, if I sign something, can you put me down for 4 months? And he says, no. I'll tell you why, because it would take you 4 more months of physical therapy to get back out in the mission. I said, okay, I'll wait it out. I worked really hard. I got together like this calendar. It was like an online calendar that anybody could add stuff to. And I ended up passing it around through email, through the wards and through the stakes, and through friends of friends and everything. Anyways, I had complete strangers to me, that were friends of somebody in the ward, pulling me out and to go do some odd job like mow their lawn or help them move their house and stuff. Filled up the schedule pretty well. I had some pretty packed months, and by the time I had to leave, I hadn't even finished all the jobs. I passed them off to my brother because there was just no way I could get to all of them by the time I had left. So I worked a bit, and I made some money, but it was hard. It was very long. I remember it felt like years. My high school girlfriend went to college like 4 months before I went on my mission, so there was no girlfriend to have to worry about, and all my buddies were off at college. So definitely having something to work on. The martial arts I was doing at the time, it gave me something to do, whereas everybody else that I already knew were already gone. I was kind of the last missionary of my group of friends to really go out. So yeah, I looked for ways to stay busy, but not necessarily just because I was excited to go on the mission, mostly just because all my friends were gone.